Well, Happy New Year, everyone. Hope everybody had a great New Year's Eve. If you guys partied with other people, hopefully you fucking tied one on. And these late updates in the day here probably might benefit you the most because we can catch up on everything. Your head's probably stopped pounding. And who knows, we get to talk about a bunch of shootings and somebody in the UK shooting their fucking wad up into the air and expecting people to, I don't know, applaud him for being such a fucking stunning and brave individual, but he has a history of doing stupid shit like that. But before we get there, we got to kind of escalate into things. So last night, I guess in the early morning hours, like 7 o'clock in the morning, Toronto woman shot in a car at Exhibition Place. A Toronto woman has been hospitalized after she suffered severe injuries following a shooting Sunday. Jesus, we haven't quite got there yet. Friday morning around 7 a.m. at Exhibition Place. Crews arrived on the scene at Princess Boulevard and Newfoundland Road near the Intercare Center minutes after, 7 a.m. 7 a.m. local time in Toronto, so adjust where need be. It is believed that the woman was shot while driving her car westbound on a Lakeshore Boulevard West near Reese Street. The altercation came to an end on Princess Boulevard. Another woman was in the car, but she did not suffer any injuries. Information about the suspect has yet to be released. Haven't heard anything about it. Don't know if she's in good condition, but I don't know. You get shot in your car 9 times out of 10. It doesn't turn out well, especially if you're a gangster rapper in the early 90s. I don't know this woman. I don't know her circumstance. And hopefully she makes a full recovery. And unfortunately, I got a report about a dead cop in Calgary. It's good, because their stupid fucking city council with their embarrassment of a mayor voted earlier. Oh, I can't even say earlier this year. Jesus, they didn't do anything over the early morning, but they voted mid-2020 in order to defund the police, and now they're going to be down one good soldier. Calgary police officer killed by car at traffic stop on New Year's Eve. Boy, you hate to see this. A Calgary police officer was killed on New Year's Eve by being struck by a vehicle. It is profound sadness and heartbreak that we will have to tell you. Late yesterday evening, we lost one of our police family. While keeping our streets safe, an officer was struck by a vehicle fleeing a traffic stop and died as a result of his injuries. You don't say. You don't say. Listen, the cops were through a whole bunch of shit in 2020, and I'm not here to bootlick for any police department, but they had a severe amount of backlash go against them from May to June because of those retarded Black Lives Matter protests. And it's especially egregious because it's Calgary. Like, we seen, I forget which video it was last week, where we took a look at the black population of Canada, and it's 3.5%. And compound onto that, I don't remember when we freed our slaves, but I feel like that was a long time ago. We never had slaves, you dumb motherfuckers that didn't get that. Between that and then, Calgary's been one of the biggest proponents of lockdowns and mask mandates, and at least in Alberta, if not all of Western Canada. I can't discount anybody in BC being further to the left, but the Indian Stay Puft Marshmallow Man really bought into the be afraid of the coof narrative, hook, line, and sinker. Almost like the hook was baited with cured deli meats. Anyways, police say the officer was struck by a vehicle just over an hour before midnight. Oh, so he didn't even make it out of 2020. That sucks. The driver was attempting to flee the traffic stop. You don't say. The officer was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. And that sucks. The area of the road where the incident took place had been blocked up by police as they investigate. Obviously, and they would have been there because of the traffic stop as well. So I don't know how they didn't catch the guy. But hopefully they catch that son of a bitch. And having a little first-hand knowledge of people who get killed by, we can go ahead and assume that this guy was impaired one way or another, either drunk or high, or maybe even a combination of both if he was celebrating real hard. Having a first-hand bit of knowledge with, people impaired, running people over and killing them, very rarely is justice actually served. That's why I'm just not a big fan of decriminalizing hard drugs or any kind of drugs, to be completely honest. I have never heard of a life being improved by somebody telling their life story and it beginning with, so I started drinking and it being an inspiration story. That's enough for the downers, okay? I wanted to give you guys a little glimpse into what happened in Canada overnight. And now we're going to cross down south of the border and we're going to stop by some of the biggest hypocrites, okay? We gotta go and we gotta see what happened or actually what didn't happen in New York City last night, okay? I have a close family member, and one of her dreams that she has talked about forever, and it's being in Times Square for New Year's Eve. And this year, it was incredibly quiet. There are some Twitter posts out there that just show the streets were completely dead, completely empty, except for a few people. And we got to talk about those few people, because Bill de Blasio and his wife and their entire team were down there on the stage, and they were dancing. There's a picture of it there. Normally, you know what? I don't care, because it's New Year's Eve. You should be with those you love. And there's a lot of families who would have loved to share their New Year's Eve with the grandparents. But thanks to Bill de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo, that's just not possible, because they just love to stuff sick people into old age care facilities. But I won't hold that against him, because he wasn't the only person who did it. But I hope at the end of this pandemic, the governors and the mayors who put sick people in long-term care facilities after we knew that the coof was much more dangerous to older populations, they need to face some sort of justice. We need to have something happen to them. I don't know what that is. They need to be prosecuted for, at worst, negligence, but preferably something a little bit stronger than that. But I'll leave it there for your guys' imagination. But yeah, people are calling out de Blasio, because New York City, in case you guys haven't been following it as closely as I have, is completely and 100% fallen to shit. Andy Cohen, guy with the talk show. Maybe I should know who he is. I don't know, but he brings up a bunch of great points. 52-year-old talk show host joined Anderson Cooper to cover the Times Square ball drop on New Year's Eve on CNN, and had some choice words for New York City's mayor. Before diving into a brief but angry rant, Cohen knocked back a shot of tequila. He knew something was coming. That's how I felt when I saw Mayor Bill de Blasio dancing just now, he said, referencing a shot of the politician dancing with his wife and fellow dud producer, Shirlane McRae, and planting a smooch on her through their face mask. Oh, God, I didn't even see that part. I just seen them dancing in a circle looking really fucking stupid with their masks. You fuckers live together. I don't think you wear masks 24/7, so stop the fucking theater act. But, if I would have seen that, that would have been just right over the edge. But Cohen here apparently wanted to bring a highlight to the fact that New York City is dying a slow death. Yeah, like it said here just below the picture that we unfortunately had to stare at for a little while. Sorry. The New York Times reports that 447 homicides that occurred in the city in 2020 made it the deadliest in nearly 10 years. Yeah, the last time it was that dangerous, the mayor who was in charge in New York City at that time, Mike Bloomberg, had to make sweeping reforms and institute stop and frisk, or at least put up a little bit. Do you actually think that Bill de Blasio would do anything about that? I guess we'll have to wait to see what the great savior for New York City, Andrew Yang's going to do. Yeah, fucking right. I can't imagine a darker period, Police Commissioner Dermot Shea said in a year-end briefing with reporters on Tuesday, citing the confluence of the pandemic and protests. The outlet noted that outside homicide, burglaries, and car thefts rocked the city, as did robberies and shootings at bodegas in various neighborhoods. Yeah, we've also covered that as well. A whole bunch of violent crime has just completely spiked this year. But meanwhile, de Blasio's too busy painting fucking Black Lives Matter in front of Trump Tower because, Orange Man bad. Whatever. He's not even the most tactless and tasteless mayor that did something stupid on New Year's Eve. Here's the main event, guys. Sadiq Khan, mayor of London, lights up the London sky with a BLM fist for New Year's fireworks. Man. Like, it's stupid enough to try to defund the police in Canada. Okay, we are so inexorably linked with the United States where it kind of makes sense, okay? You know what? Our culture is just kind of like 5 years back with a couple of different nuances from the United States. All of our media is pretty much interchangeable. But Sadiq Khan, a man who said that you should just get used to living with terror attacks back during the height of the ISIS pretty much every other week attacks, yeah. He said other stupid shit, but that was the first thing that came to mind. And to do this, like, okay, take a look at that fist that's on the middle of your screen. That is done by drones, okay? It eventually splintered off into 3 different fists up in the air right above. I think that's the O2 Arena, right? That is really cool technology, and he could have done something really great because England and the United Kingdom just split off from the European Union after 4.5 years of the fighting to get out and voting for a referendum, going through a couple of prime ministers in order to make it happen. Could have done something to, celebrate that fact, but Sadiq Khan is a massive Remainer. And for people who don't follow British politics, that is somebody who continued to complain about something that happened 4+ years ago and just couldn't accept the result of it. There's no parallels to be drawn there now, is there? Well, let's see what stupid Sadiq Khan had to say about this. Khan surprised lockdown Londoners with a divisive New Year's display which used fireworks and drones to light up the night sky with a clenched fist symbol of Black Lives Matter. Khan, whose term in office has been extended for a year without an election as a result of the Chinese virus pandemic. Can you believe it? Yeah, I'm supposed to be up for election this year, but virus, and we're just going to push it off a year. Everybody loves me. Everybody understands. What? Meanwhile, Trump made a joke about it, and it was in the headlines for fucking a week and a half. Double standards everywhere. What makes this even worse is the BBC filmed it and shared it on social media, and in order to have traditional television, you have to pay a license fee to the British government, and therefore you actively subsidize the BBC. So regardless of your position on this, and people who are watching my channel probably wouldn't like governments to be funding that sort of political message, yeah, your tax dollars would actively go towards making that drone display a reality. That's right, I know my tax dollars have done several stupid things under a Trudeau government, and you just shake your head and move on. The future holds unexposed danger, but no stress. Humankind is no stranger to progress, and we've proven we collaborate. Progress follows fast, says a male voice in the clip, before the BLM fist is suddenly emblazoned across the sky above the Millennium Dome. Oh, okay. My mistake. I just knew that there was a huge stadium in London. I forget the proper naming convention for it. This is one voice with one message. Black Lives Matter, a female voice proclaims as the fireworks explode around the fist. Yeah, like I said before, splintered off into a couple of different colored displays. Not that kind of colored, but like it's cool technology. And you should have done that for the Union Jack or something, okay? And then just have it float around in the sky. That would have been cool. But instead, you just throw that up in the air and make nobody happy, because the people who would applaud it aren't paying attention to it, and the people that are paying attention to it think you're a dick and just want to vote you out. The Labour politicians' highly partisan New Year's Eve illuminations may prove controversial for Britons who have dismayed by the destructive and violent actions of Marxist-led race movement supporters, generally conducted in defiance of the otherwise ruthlessly enforced lockdown rules with little or no police interference due to senior staff's fear of the group. Yeah, it's been pretty bad, especially in London, because none of the government really has the police officers back when it comes to enforcing any sort of law. Unless it's lockdown laws, then they'll just be going house to house, business to business, make sure that you're locked down, because London is in stage 4 lockdown. They don't do the cool color system like they do over here on this side of the ocean. They just go for a traditional numbered lockdown strategy. And London and most, if not all, of the south of the country is currently in stage 4, which means, I don't know, you kind of got to get a license in order to just go walk your dog, I think. It's pretty much just total March lockdowns once again, because those work so well. But Boris Johnson says everybody should be fine by April. Yeah, and he also said that there would be Christmas. In London alone, Black Lives Matter mobs have repeatedly defaced Sir Winston Churchill's statue. Why? Attempted to burn the flag on the hollowed Cenotaph National War Memorial, you cocksuckers, and daubed it with graffiti on the anniversary of D-Day, and bloodied police officers and chased them through the streets shouting, "Run, piggy, run." Yep, that's what happens when nobody has guns. One female officer was left with horrific injuries as she was knocked from her horse during disorder on Whitehall near the Prime Minister's official residence, suffering a collapsed lung, broken ribs, and a broken collarbone. Holy fuck. You know what, if you're on a horse and you got your typical Black Lives Matter Antifa protester, I'm gonna take the horse in that confrontation, even if there is a half dozen of those little goofs. But that's what happens when nobody has your back. You're just not gonna be using all of the tools that you have actively available to you, even if it is a 2,000-pound animal. But it's stupid, right? What this was followed up with. The entire display is stupid. A lot of what went on overnight was stupid. Hopefully you guys had a much better New Year's Eve. I, for one, had a good laugh. Not at this. I was just chilling because I don't have friends. Just joking. You guys are my friends. No, Sadiq Khan decided to pick, or either Sadiq Khan or the BBC decided to pick this rapper Stormzy. I've never heard of a rapper from the UK before. I'm sure he's very skilled at what he does based on the current hip-hop trends. Oof. But they got a little excerpt up there on the screen if you want to read it. I like my brain cell count as it is, so I won't bother with it. But I'll tell you who Stormzy is. He denounced Britain as definitely 100% racist in 2019, was perhaps a deliberately provocative choice for the inclusion of the festivities, such as they were in a Tier 4 lockdown, given his past history of yelling "fuck the government, fuck Boris," while wearing a Union Jack stab vest during a performance in Glastonbury. Hard man. The rapper, raised by a single mother in Ghana. Oh, okay. If Ghana was such a prosperous place and you're just trying to import their political philosophy, why don't you tell us why you guys moved up to the United Kingdom if it's such a racist, evil, black-hating country? Has been dedicated to race activism since well before George Floyd's unrest. Oh, at least so he's consistent. Providing funding for 2 black-only scholarships at the University of Cambridge, for example. On one hand, that's a good thing that he does, and on the other hand, he's a complete racist. If we weren't oppressed, we wouldn't be shouting, declared the... I like how Breitbart writes this. Declared the award-winning multi-millionaire last summer. This is a real pain, and this ain't some sort of trend. This is real life, and this is... Ugh, shut up. He suggested stretching the timeline from repression. He alleges to a period millennia before Africa's colonization. Yes, of course. Everything that happened to your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents directly affected you because you never really amounted to much. Oh, that's right. You're a multi-millionaire immigrant who directly benefited from capitalism and a country that would provide for you. Ungrateful little twats, but hey, at least in London it starts from the top and then it works its way all the way down. But that was a little wrap up of what happened in London, New York, Calgary, and Toronto. None of it was good, but at the same time, if that's the worst that happened overnight, yeah, you can kind of deal with it. There's one notable exception that I'm leaving out for the next video too, because it's too funny to include in this very long and sad wrap up, and that Crypt Keeper deserves her own video, so stay tuned. I'll be right back for that one. Just gotta chop this one up first. Once again, guys, Happy New Year's. I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. Want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.